Hello, welcome to Game On Transform Your Lessons with Playful Inquiry Driven Learning. My name is Corey Kavanaugh, and I'm very excited for you to join this webinar today. I'm hoping to provide you with some real practical ways that you can introduce gameplay or gamifying your lessons in your classroom to use with your students. So just a couple of things before we get going. This webinar will be recorded, so you will receive a link for this of the recording after we are done here. So if I go too fast over anything, or if there are things that you want to revisit or share with others, please feel free to do so. We are also joined by Robin, who's going to kind of be in the background here today. Robin, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming today.
So Robin will be kind of monitoring the chat. So if you have questions or anything like that, she can answer those. Additionally, she is going to put in a link in the chat for our resource guide. So this will have a lot of the things that I'm going to cover in this webinar that you can refer to. It's probably going to have some extra things that we just won't have time to get to, but I wanted to make sure to at least have in there for you to later as you think about bringing games or bringing gamifying into your classroom. Also, this webinar is being sponsored by Science on the Grand, which is our STEAM conference for K-8 inquiry-based educators. It is happening this summer, July 14th and 15th here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is a really awesome conference. You will learn so much if you go to this conference. We really try to make it practical for you. We want to make it worth your time, especially during the summer. So we share a lot of practical strategies, a lot of good information for you to take into the upcoming school year to use with your students. So it'd be awesome for you to join us this summer in Grand Rapids. So before we get into the content here, I just want to know who's here. So Robin's going to launch a poll here real quick, just knowing what grade you teach.
You're still rolling. I'm going to give it about 5 more seconds and then close it out. All right. So it looks like we are 47% upper elementary, followed by 41% early elementary. Middle and high school are both at 29%, and then 6% admin and other.
So hopefully that there will be something for everyone that is joining this webinar. Really, a lot of these strategies and ideas that I'm sharing today can be used K-12. Some of them skew a little bit younger, and some of them probably are a little bit better for older students. So hopefully there's something here for everyone. All right, so we're going to kind of gamify this webinar as well. We got a cool game board here that's going to kind of track our progress through this webinar here. So we already had our welcome and an overview, and I want to just briefly talk about first why gamify. Why do we want to do this with our students, or why should we do this with our students? So the research shows that gamifying our lessons and our content really does increase the engagement of our students. It can lead to higher motivation for our students to want to learn the different things that we are teaching. And it really does have enhanced retention rates for our students. So often we teach something, they can forget it before the end of the day if it's just not important. But if we know as educators, if they're interested in it, if they are engaged in that content, they're more likely to remember it later. So it's a really great way to, enhance that retention. And also some of the things that I'm going to share today really allow for personalized learning. So really allow you to meet your students where they are, different levels, in a really fun and kind of playful sort of way. I do want to touch base on just kind of 2 things here that we're going to talk about. So there is game-based learning and there is gamification. They are 2 different things. Both of them have their merits. Both of them have positive things that you could take into your classroom. And we are going to talk about both of them, and I'm going to share some ideas about both of them today. So game-based learning is really when you utilize full-fledged games to really meet those learning objectives that you have. So this could be custom design games that you have, and I have a couple of examples that I've designed myself that I'm going to share with you today. But it could also be pre-existing games that you kind of incorporate into your lesson to kind of reinforce different concepts. And then on the other side of that is gamification. So gamification is using game mechanics and maybe non-gaming scenarios to really improve that engagement piece for your students. It really tries to encourage participation among our students. So things like a point system or leveling up, leaderboards, badges, things like that can really help to encourage our students to participate in what the learning that is going on or that is happening in our classroom. And like I said, I'm going to share examples for both of these here. So we're going to start with gamification, and we're going to talk. I'm going to talk about a few different strategies of ways that you can take what you already do, and you can maybe level it up a little bit with a gamification. So a real great thing to do in our classroom is to develop a points and or a badge system. Um, Assigning point values to different activities throughout the day, throughout a unit, whatever it might be, can really help to increase the engagement of our students. Now, this is very different than the grade that you give a student for the work that they do. This is more about completing tasks or maybe having a behavior management piece associated with it, that students can earn these points throughout the day or throughout the unit to maybe work towards a reward or a higher a prize of sorts. So thinking about tracking points, points and XP for our students, it can maybe seem kind of daunting, especially when we have, 25, 30 kids and we're trying to keep track of everything. So in the handout that Robin put in the chat, we do have a template that you can use. It's real easy. It's customizable to create a spreadsheet to really track the points that your students are earning. And the nice thing about it is you could do it for a week. You could do it for, a whole year if you wanted to. It's really customizable to meet you with what you're trying to do. And additionally, these points, these experience points that our students are learning or are earning, can also double as currency to maybe exchange for rewards at the end of the year or throughout the year at different times. Also thinking about cumulative points, so earning points as a class and individualized points. They are both really great things, and kind of putting them together can be a very strong strategy to use when you're talking about gamification. So classroom management strategy that could bring self-awareness to our students for behavior and things like that is really important. And we know that distracting behavior can really wreck a day, wreck a lesson, wreck a hour, whatever it might be. And so this blurt beans is a really cool way to maybe help with some of that. And so it kind of works, it is more tailored towards younger students, but it could work for our older students as well. So it really just starts by giving your students a set number of beans every single day. With our younger students, our lower L, you're going to be with them all day. You might want to give them a little bit more beans. If we're only going to be with them for an hour or so, for our older students, maybe 3 or 5. But then as you go throughout the day, when they blurt out or they interrupt, they have to put that bean in the blurt bean jar. They lose that bean. And then at the end of the day or the end of the class period, however you want to do it, all the remaining student beans get placed into the reward container. And so you can kind of keep track of, reaching or trying to reach a certain reward throughout the class. And when you get to, those big milestones, the class celebrates, and then of course they participate together. So it encourages them to work together to make sure they're not talking out of turn or being rude or anything like that. And then they get to, experience that reward as a group. Another way that you can kind of encourage that point system, this is one that I really love personally to do with my class, is kind of creating a cash system. So this is Corey Cash here, that's my lovely face on the dollar bill there. You can create your own version of a dollar bill or other monetary values if you want to. And then I give my students bank accounts. And then throughout the class, we can earn Corey Cash, and you can earn it by, going above and beyond, or helping out a friend, or displaying some characteristic that maybe we're trying to highlight a certain characteristic of the month or something like that. And you can earn cash, and then they put that cash in their bank account. But also you can lose that cash. So if you're being disrespectful, if you are, talking out of turn, or you're not trying your best on certain projects, right? You can lose that cash. And so this is really motivating for our students to really try to earn that cash, because I've created a store, just bought some small pieces of things that we know kids like. So things like Pokemon cards, or, fidget spinners, other things like that. And the kids can actually turn that cash into the store for real hard objects, like real things. And so they are motivated to try to make sure that they're doing their best, that they're trying to, do stay on top, like, of what we're doing, and earning that cash. So also think about, I don't want you to think that you have to redo everything with you have a really great lesson. It doesn't really have a lot of gamification in it, so you have to redo everything. You really don't. Think about what you already do. Think about the things like exit tickets that maybe you already do every day or every other day, or maybe you have warm-up activities before you get into the main content of the day. Assigning XP or points to those things that you already do is a great way to get started with your point system. It's a really great way. Now, maybe you're looking at something that's a little bit higher end. It's not like quite as, shallow or as easy as like a exit ticket or a warm up. You have a really important concept that you want your students to master. So creating a board, like the example that you see here, like this one is for engineering, for example, and you have different tasks associated to try to earn an engineering badge. And there's a lot here. It doesn't have to be this complicated. It could be as simple as you want it to be. But what's nice about this one is that you'll notice, like, the bottom row, all of those tasks are worth 1 point. And the next row is 2 points, and then 3 points, and 4 points. And so in order to earn the engineering badge, students have to earn a total of 45 points here. Okay. And so they can choose from the list that you made, that you approved. They can choose from those activities to try to get to that, that 45 point, or whatever that benchmark might be. So it introduces a little bit of student choice in here, which I really love as well, because they can pick and choose, and they can push themselves to try to get to that badge. Another really important thing is peer-to-peer interactions. It's great for you to notice that your student is doing something well, something appropriate in the classroom, or going above and beyond, helping a classmate, and you rewarding them. It's just as powerful for their peers to look at that and reward them as well. So this is a Padlet here that I have an example of. In my class, we like to highlight some essential skill that we think we need to use to be successful in our science class. Things like curiosity, creative thinking, critical thinking, collaboration. And so students, when they see other students being curious or using creative thinking, they can go onto this Padlet. They can post about who they see doing whichever skill they want to choose upon. And then I can look at this later, and I can say, oh yeah, they recognize this person as doing creative thinking. So then I can give them Corey Cash. I can give them Corey Cash, the person that was doing the task, the Corey Cash, but I can also give the person that, wrote the post, Corey Cash as well. So it's a really strong way for peers to notice each other and still get that reward system. I want to talk briefly about badges. So badges are a really great way to reward the achievements that our students are doing in a visual concept, so they can see visually how they are doing and what they are earning. This also is a great way for students to challenge themselves. So we did a unit on fossils here. You have the dynamite badges there. There was a bronze, there was a silver, and there was a gold. And so depending on how they completed the different challenges associated with that unit, they earned a bronze, a silver, or a gold badge. And so again, it allowed them to push themselves to try to get to that gold badge, and to try to get to that highest honor. Flippity is a really great resource to create a badging system. They go through step by step. It's very easy. It's linked in the handout as well. So if you want to create a badge system, that is a great tool for you to use. I already touched a little bit on this, but just kind of thinking about that in the reward process. You have individual rewards and you have class rewards. Class rewards help the students keep each other accountable, and then the individual rewards obviously have the motivation, internally for them to push themselves. So having both of them work together is a real effective way to kind of implement the reward system, the XP system, to try to master different concepts in class. Also thinking about a level up concept, having students start off at a level 1 and having a clear set of challenges to progress to level 2, level 3, and again having those rewards, the individual rewards and the class rewards, and posted in a visual way. And the example that I have here on the screen I really like for a couple of reasons, because it doesn't always have to be about content. It doesn't always have to be about making sure that you understand what is being taught. So for example, here you earn 5 experience points daily for arriving on time, for being respectful to everyone, for winning class challenges, for going above and beyond, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be tied to the content that you are teaching. It can be, but it can also be more than just that, to allow your students to try to be more well-rounded. And that management piece that sometimes we can struggle with, a leveling up mindset is a really great way to foster that idea. So just thinking about how to get there, how to do that, right? So I like this infographic because it kind of breaks it down very simply. So determine the unit of study which you would normally do, and then plan the lessons for learning, which you would normally do, and then kind of identify those measurable objectives, which you probably always do, right? You can pull those out and make those into micro tasks or challenges, and then the students have to complete those challenges to get those micro badges in this case, right? And then a number of micro badges, or once you earn a number of micro badges, you've mastered that topic or that idea, and you earn that master badge. So when you break it down like this, it can be a really simple system to try to motivate our students and additionally be very effective. Don't forget about AI, right? Our friend AI. If you are, you're kind of daunted by the idea of creating this system, have AI do it for you. So you can use this prompt right here, and you can put this into like Chat GPT, and it will create the whole system for you. Might need some modifications, obviously, but that will allow you to create that system to use with your students in a way that's hopefully pretty easy. Also, choice boards are a great thing to use for XP and for kind of that level up mindset. Letting students choose their mission, right? Introducing that student choice again is very important for us as educators. And there are a ton of choice boards that are already pre-made that you could probably find for the topic that you want, but you could also make your own. And in the handout, I linked one where you kind of walks you step by step to make your own. So this one, for example, is bees are awesome. So it kind of walks you through, you create your choice board, you add those challenges and then the XP there, and then it takes you to the different challenges associated. So it could be fully digital, whatever works best for you and your students. And like I said, there's a lot out there that is already created too. So if you don't want to create your own, you could probably find something out there that is, that you could use. We also use Google Sites with our students a lot. So Google Sites are a really great way to have have a place visually for your students to track the progress. So this one, for example, is called Mission to Mars. We're talking about space travel, the challenges associated with living on Mars, and the realm of robotics. And so there are different challenges that students had to do, and they, depending on how they do in the challenges, the criteria that they meet, they could get a bronze, a silver, a gold. And so they're able to track their practice or their progress on the Google site as they go along. And then thinking about any good game has a boss at the end, right? And so a boss battle assessment is a really good way for you to assess your students on what they have learned. So using it as a review is a real cool way. So this resource will walk you through how to create a boss battle assessment. But basically, you create the questions and you have health for the boss, and then the students have health. And then if the students answer questions correctly, the boss loses health. And the more that they answer correctly, eventually the boss will become defeated. So again, it's exciting for students to do this. They really want to defeat the boss. Who doesn't want to defeat a boss? But they're also making sure they're reinforcing the concepts that you've covered throughout your unit. So remember, just try it with one lesson, one project, and then maybe one unit, and keep increasing that. And hopefully you'll see the benefits of using that kind of that point or badge system. All right, so I want to go to game-based learning strategies now. So these are full games that either I've custom made or that you could custom make, or things that are already out there that really help to really increase that learning and that motivation. So escape rooms are a great review option. Just like choice boards, there's a lot of digital escape rooms available out there, some paid, some free. But it's a really great way. I like to use them for review once we get through a unit. The students have questions that they have to answer. They're locked in a room. In order to get a code, they have to answer these questions correctly. The more that they answer correctly, the code they get, they can escape the room. And depending on timing and everything, you could have multiple rooms. But it's a really great way to have review, but also the kids want to get out of the room, right? And so again, there's a lot out there, but this resource here will kind of walk you through how to create your own, and it's step by step. It's a really great process. But if you want to find something out there too, you probably could. So both ways are great options. Role playing. Role playing scenarios and simulations are awesome because they really let students step into the roles that you want them to learn about. So whether it be scientist, policymaker, detective, whatever it might be, you present a real world scenario, and then the students investigate it, they debate it, or maybe they propose solutions just like they were a member of the community. So it connects that learning to those authentic problems, and it does encourage collaboration. So here's one example of that. So I was working with a group of students. We were studying ecosystem services and the impact that we can have as humans on the ecosystem. And my main idea, or my main goal, was to really think about. I don't want them to think that it's really just black and white. There's a lot that goes into how we can protect our environment or our ecosystems. And so I wanted my students to kind of understand that. And so I broke the group up into 3 different groups. I had 3 different scenarios. So here's one, for example, the wind farm dilemma. And each group had the prosecution, the defense, and the jury. So every group was able to be one part of those. So either the prosecution, defense, or jury. And then they had to research it just like a normal, like a mock trial case. They had to research the information. They had to present their findings or arguments, and then we had a verdict. And so it was really a fun way to think about these ideas. So they were totally engaged in the research, much more than if I had just been like, "Hey, research what our effect is with this wind farm." Right? They had a stake in the learning, right? And so they were able to really take that take it for what it's worth and create a really cool mock trial situation and ultimately a verdict. So role playing scenarios are great. There are a ton of AI games to consider as well. Things that will help us that AI will create that will make it a little bit easier. So, for example, here's apples to apples. If you have a concept or you have a unit that you want to teach, creating those category cards and adjective cards, and then having your students make the connection between those two can be super powerful. And then we have here, these are the kind of the ones that take a little bit more, the themed games or the full customizable games here. This one here is something that I did with my students around zebrafish. And so I was working with middle schoolers, and we were studying the embryos and the development of embryos of zebrafish. And so I wanted them to really know about the different stages of development of the embryos. And so I created the Secret Life of Zebrafish game. And so all it is this is a picture, hopefully you can tell, of a zebrafish here. And they started as a fertilized one cell egg, one cell egg, and then they had to travel through the life cycle to get to hatching, essentially. And throughout the way, they had environmental factors they had to deal with. They had developmental challenges that they had to deal with, or survival threats. And so it was a really fun way for them to try to get to the end, to the egg hatching, but also to learn about those different stages. Now, whenever you create a customizable game, it can be a lot. It can be a lot. And so what I would highly encourage is to bring the kids in on the creation of the game. So I created what you saw there on the screen before on the last slide, and then the kids played it once or twice, and then I talked to them and I said, how could we make this better? What could we do that would make this game more exciting for you? And so we still had our learning objectives, so I made those clear. We had some criteria that they had to determine, and then they developed kind of the second version of the game. And afterward, ultimately, we got to like that final version. So we created this kind of more official game board, and it really, the students bought into it because not only were they playing a game, which is fun, but they also had a hand in developing it, all while still learning what I wanted them to learn with the development of that embryo. Next up here, we have, this is not something that I created, but this is something that I love to do every single year with my students. So Arizona State University created this resource called March Mammal Madness. It's a bracket style animal tournament that is based on science. And so essentially you get 64 different animals, you pit them up against each other just like you would March Madness basketball. I love basketball. And then an animal advances until you have a champion. Now I like this because the students have to research the animals, they predict predict the battle outcomes, and then we are actually able to watch the outcomes. So Arizona State makes these really funny, cool videos that you can watch after every round, but the winner of each battle is determined by using real data and scientific reasoning. So the students not only enjoy looking at, hey, was I right on picking the winner, but we talk about the reasoning, or they learn about the reasoning of why one advanced over the other. So it's a really fun way to build the interest in that life science and critical thinking. So for example, here is a slide that has the information about this particular animal. So the students research all of this, they fill out their brackets, and then this is the screenshot from one of the videos. So then we watch the matchups, we see who advances, and this is a real easy, they make it really easy to track all of just like a March Madness bracket, to track all of the choices. And so you can kind of keep track of who's leading and who's having fun. And just, if you're curious, this last year, the polar bear won the challenge this year. Now, they've been doing this for 13 years, though. So the nice thing is that, hey, if in March you're not talking about animal adaptations, right, it doesn't really fit into your curriculum, you can go back to all the previous ones and try to, you can do this. All the videos are there for you to do in November if you wanted to. I'm going to skip the poll just for time now. I just want to share a couple more resources with you before we end our time here that I think will be helpful. So again, things that are already out there that might help you. GimKit is a really good resource, has a lot of different games on there that you can play with your students. Again, reinforcing the concepts that you are trying to teach. There's a free version and a paid version. Same thing with Blookit. I like Blookit a lot. My students like Blookit a lot. It's a popular one. It is a really great way, again, to incorporate the learning concepts that you want, but in a fun and, in this case, digital way. These are some different math card games that you can play with your students, so you can feel free to peruse those if you are teaching math. Also, this was a half an hour webinar. There is so much out there on gamification. So these links here, there are articles, there are videos that you could look at. There's a bunch of AI gamification strategies that you can do should you choose. Please, don't, if you want to do it, I would love to see you do it, because it is really fun and it is really rewarding for our students. All right. So with that was kind of our time here. I'm hoping that you got something out of that webinar. I'm hoping there's something that you can use, or in that resource doc. Gamification and game-based learning is really cool to use with our students because they want to play games, but also you need to teach the content that you need to teach. So it's a really good way for you to kind of do both of those things in a fun kind of way. Especially, you're getting towards the end of the year here, have a couple more weeks. Introducing something for doing in the next couple of weeks would be awesome. But then maybe thinking about the things that maybe take a little bit more time, like a customized game or something like that. But planning for for next year is also cool too. Just a quick reminder, the sponsor for this webinar was Science on the Grand. So we would love to see you here in July 14th and 15th. There's a lot of practical strategies, a lot of things that you could take from this conference to use in your classroom, and I really hope that we see some of you here in Grand Rapids. Additionally, next month, we have another webinar. So after school is hopefully finished up here, we have the Teacher Reset, 5 ways to refresh, recharge, and reignite your joy. And there will be 5 exciting giveaways in that webinar. So that is Wednesday, June 18th, 2025 at 4 p.m. So thank you again for joining me. Like I said, I hope there's something there that you are able to use. If you have any questions or anything, my email is right here. I'd be happy to chat about how you can introduce gamification or game-based learning in your classroom. Thank you so much.